everybody. Thanks for being here today. See you tomorrow at 5. Here's CBS.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. A caller claiming to represent something called the Islamic Revolutionary Brigades today claimed responsibility for kidnapping a U.S. Marine officer in southern Lebanon. A Lebanese militia leader said it appears to be the same pro-Iranian group that's holding 8 other American hostages in Beirut. In Washington, President Reagan spoke publicly about wanting to, quote, rescue Lieutenant Colonel William Higgins. But aides quickly backed off of that, issuing what they called a qualification, saying that the president was not talking about any military rescue. From the White House, Terrence Smith begins our report.
President Reagan stunned reporters and congressmen at a morning meeting on the new budget when he seemed to suggest that the United States was considering direct action to get Colonel Higgins back.
We're doing everything we can. We're trying to find out as much as we can, and we'll try to get him located, and certainly we want to rescue him.
But administration spokesman hastened to explain that despite the president's remark, no special forces operation is being considered.
I think the president was making a reference there to all of our efforts to stay in touch with all the parties in the region, with the United Nations, to explore every possibility to see if Colonel Higgins can't be safely returned.
Secretary of State Schultz, in an interview with foreign correspondents, said publicly that military action is not a practical option, despite the administration's frustration over the chaos in Lebanon.
Beirut has become a place that should be quarantined. It has become a place that's almost like a safe haven for terrorists and for hostage takers.
For the Higgins family, it was an especially cruel day. Colonel Higgins' father, William Higgins, died of congestive heart failure this morning before learning of his son's capture. This afternoon, President Reagan called Mrs. Higgins to express his sympathy and support.
You don't know the length. It could be 2 days, it could be 2 years, maybe never. So with those situations facing you, it's a very sad situation.
White House officials are braced for criticism over the fact that an American colonel was stationed in southern Lebanon in the first place. But at this point, they say, there are no plans to pull the remaining Americans out. Said one official, we're not going to let terrorists determine our policy. Terrence Smith, CBS News, the White House.
Gunmen of Amal, the biggest armed gang in southern Lebanon, joined UN troops today in an effort to seal off the area where Lieutenant Colonel Higgins was seized. But they may have been too late. While they manned roadblocks, a Lebanese radio station reported the claim of a previously unknown terrorist organization that Higgins has already been taken north to Beirut.
The spokesman for the organization said that Lieutenant Colonel Higgins was a member of the CIA.
In Washington, the State Department was quick to deny that charge.
There was a claim that Lieutenant Colonel Higgins was associated with the CIA. That is not true.
Lebanese President Amin Gemayel assured the American ambassador that everything possible will be done to free Higgins, but Gemayel is powerless to influence events in his lawless country. Lebanese Justice Minister Nabi Berri, who also heads the Amal militia, said he would do his best.
We are very sorry about what happened. We will try to release this man.
UN Undersecretary Marek Golding sought help from various Lebanese factions, but found no cause for optimism at the end of the day.
Governments have to ask themselves whether they are prepared to expose their people to this kind of risk by contributing troops to UN peacekeeping operations.
The French government has already pulled its officers out of the Lebanon Observer Group, and a spokesman for the UN force said precautions will be taken to protect the few remaining American officers in Lebanon.
From now on, of course, we'll have to be thinking in other terms when it comes to using Americans. Even if the United States officials do not tell us anything else, we will have to rethink our own use of the American officers, certainly, yes.
Loyalties are so confused in Lebanon that the UN cannot be sure which local factions are on its side. Supporters of both Amal and the PLO often have close links with pro-Iranian fanatics seeking to drive Western influence out of Lebanon. Anti-terrorism experts in Britain believe a rescue operation for Higgins would be feasible, provided he's still in southern Lebanon. But if he has been taken to Beirut, he may have already joined the growing list of foreign hostages that no one seems to be able to rescue. Tom Fenton, CBS News, London.
CBS News correspondent Doug Tennell, one of our most experienced foreign correspondents, especially in the Middle East, is here with us tonight. He has covered Lebanon extensively over the years. He knows the territory and he knows the players. Doug, what is the situation in Lebanon tonight?
It's been a day of some unusual military activity in southern Lebanon tonight, Dan. UN sources there reported sighting a number of warships off the coast of the area where Higgins was picked up. Ships that were not of the type used for the routine Israeli shore patrols there. One source said the ships were American, but the Pentagon won't comment on that. Lebanese militiamen have been searching the area for any trace of Lieutenant Colonel Higgins. That search is said to be continuing even now, well after dark in the Middle East.
Well, Doug, what about the possibility of a rescue mission?
All the analysts I spoke to today, Dan, agreed that if there ever were an instance in which a military rescue of an American hostage in Lebanon is possible, it is this one. We're not talking about Beirut, about a densely populated and heavily armed city. It's easy to see that in southern Lebanon, any rescue team would have friends to help, and that means Israel. The Israeli border overlooks the area where Higgins was kidnapped on two sides. The sea is on the third. The Israelis come across the border all the time. They actually have it wired. Israeli commandos have rescued Israelis from guerrilla hideouts in southern Lebanon before. And there are any number of sympathetic Lebanese in the area who would provide support and, most importantly, information for a rescue team.
Doug, setting aside the question of whether it was a good idea to talk publicly about a rescue mission, can they get him out alive? Should they mount a rescue?
That is the fundamental question tonight. Any rescue, no matter how well known the territory might be, is enormously risky. The Islamic fundamentalists of southern Lebanon are well known, are notorious for being ruthless, for being able to keep a secret. One expert I spoke to today, Dan, said that if they try a rescue mission, the secret would be try it fast.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Dan.
President Reagan today sent Congress his new $1 trillion election year budget. It's $1.1 trillion. It is not a balanced budget. Mr. Reagan says it does take into account the recent negotiating with Congress over the budget mess. It still contains items Congress is not very likely to go for, such as selling off some government assets to private industry. From Capitol Hill tonight, Phil Jones reports on the president's new budget, what's in it, and what's likely to come out of it.
Well, no. The last Ronald Reagan budget for Congress to kick around arrived on Capitol Hill today, and for the first time in the Reagan presidency, it wasn't declared dead on arrival.
I think it's a good faith budget.
Now I'm hoping we can work together through the budget process this year.
The president wants to spend $1.1 trillion in fiscal 1989 with increased domestic spending in areas like education, science, AIDS research, and drug abuse programs. But for defense spending, Mr. Reagan requests the smallest increase since he became president. Under Mr. Reagan, the federal deficit zoomed from just under $79 billion to a record high of $221 billion. This new Reagan budget predicts the deficit will drop to $129.5 billion during the next fiscal year. The Reagan budget sticks to the basic tax and spending targets reached during last year's summit with Congress that followed the stock market crash.
This budget does not increase taxes, again consistent with our budget agreement.
That's the president's interpretation, but others say the package does contain hidden taxes.
This is the year of the big wink, the high art of blue smoke and mirrors.
Perhaps, but for now, the politicians are more interested in their own re-election fights than budget feuds with a lame duck president.
We got all kind of elbow room for everybody to be right and go on home and get re-elected.
Right now, everything sounds rosy with the administration's optimistic predictions. But any falter of the economy would, in this high-stakes election year, bring a quick end to this budget truce with Congress. Phil Jones, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Among major provisions in the proposed new defense budget today, $5 billion more to carry on research for President Reagan's Star Wars missile defense, another Trident missile submarine, and a pay raise for troops. All told, the new military spending bill does represent an increase, but it's less than the Pentagon wanted. Our Defense Department correspondent David Martin looks now at what the taxpayer is and isn't getting for the money and the fight about it.
The 600-ship Navy, once a hallmark of the Reagan defense buildup, has vanished in the haze of budget deficits. The new $300 billion defense budget, which is $33 billion less than the Pentagon wanted, orders all the military services to reduce the size of their forces. For the military, it is a drastic break with the recent past.
We've made the hard choices here. We have traded off a smaller force in order to maintain a quality force.
The revised fiscal year 1989 budget being submitted today suggests the dawn of a new fiscal realism in the Defense Department under Secretary Carlucci.
For the Navy, realism means putting 16 destroyers and frigates like the Albert David into mothballs.
Reducing the size of the force to live within a smaller defense budget may seem like a reasonable thing to do, but it has the military and some politicians up in arms.
The naval base at San Diego will lose 6 ships, and the mayor doesn't like it.
But we're talking jobs, and we're talking about San Diego's economy. There's no question.
Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada will have to deactivate a wing of F-16 jet fighters, 72 planes in all, over the local congressman's dead body.
When you uproot 1,500 people and take them out of an area, it's traumatic, not only to those employees, but to the area in general.
At the start of the Reagan administration, the Air Force hoped to expand to 44 wings of tactical fighters. But now Carlucci has ordered the Air Force to make do with just 36 wings. The military knows it has to cut money somewhere, but it doesn't like doing it Carlucci's way.
That'd probably be fair to say as well, yes.
Now the fight moves to Congress, where members tend to think in terms of jobs for their constituents. Last year, the Pentagon tried to shut down that same wing of F-16 jet fighters in Nevada and failed. David Martin, CBS News.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, correspondent Bob McNamara. On the trial, the government hopes will put an end to organized race hate. And Frank Courier on the latest craze among talky teens and their ferocious telephone bills.
Sometimes I don't know what to believe. What food's good for you, what's not. But I guess I can believe reports from the National Cancer Institute. They say some studies suggest a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So I made some changes. Like eating Kellogg's All-Bran. Just 1 tablespoon of All-Bran has more fiber than a whole serving of most other cereals. Am I going to change what I eat for breakfast? You better believe it.
High-fiber Kellogg's All-Bran.
I get up early to capture the morning light. But sometimes my arthritis pain catches me first. I used to take aspirin or Tylenol. But today it's Advil. Advil contains a non-prescription strength of the medicine in the prescription brand Motrin. You know, just 1 Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin. That's important to me. And Advil didn't upset my stomach. It gives me hours of relief from minor arthritis pain. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
The guys around the office think I bought a Buick Regal because it's so beautifully designed and so comfortable. And they're right. But they also think I got a raise because in their eternal wisdom, they think this Regal cost $2,000 or $3,000 more than it did. If that's what you think, go see your Buick dealer. You'll find Regal is priced with T-Bird and Cougar, even less. But don't tell the guys around the office.
The great American look belongs to Buick.
2 of the presidential runners dropped out today. Both had gotten respect from people, but not very many votes. Democrat Bruce Babbitt dropped out. Republican Pete DuPont also said he was going. After failing to break out of the pack in Iowa and New Hampshire, they both said today, "Goodbye, been good to know you." Neither endorsed anyone else, though Jesse Jackson reportedly is pressing Babbitt for his support. For those still in the race, the mad dash is on for Super Tuesday, March 8th. 20 state primaries and caucuses, mostly in the South, a third of the convention delegates needed for nomination up for grabs on that single day. The biggest of the big ones is in Texas. All the Democrats are there tonight for a candidates forum, except one. Paul Simon is away hustling for money. There's a lot of talk now that Super Tuesday could wind up being extra super for Jesse Jackson in the Democratic race. That's a far cry from what the inventors of Super Tuesday and the Democratic Party had in mind. Correspondent Eric Ingberg is our Super Tuesday advance man.
The New Hampshire winner quickly went south, hoping momentum and money can overcome his lack of Dixie connection. But Michael Dukakis is, as of now, running in the middle of the pack in Georgia, a dark horse status that prevails across much of the South. By most measurements, the front runner here is Jesse Jackson.
I'm certain that we are going to carry Georgia. I make that claim because of our expanded base.
Jackson's base among blacks, who make up 1/3 of Georgia's Democratic electorate, is being augmented by white liberals. leaving the rest of the candidates to divide what's left. While the South is often stereotyped as conservative, Southern politicians point out it's different in a primary.
In Democratic primaries, the more activist Democrats go and vote. They also sometimes are the more quote-unquote liberal Democrats.
Tennessee's Albert Gore is telling his backers Super Tuesday is the real start of the campaign. He hopes so. His chips are all on the table in the South after he gave short shrift to Iowa and New Hampshire.
I don't think you can jumpstart a campaign in the South. I think Senator Gore can't get it moving from a standing start.
In Georgia and elsewhere, the two border state contenders, Gephardt and Gore, will be fighting to win the same kinds of voters, white, conservative to moderate Democrats. And there are already signs that fight will be nasty.
It was said by someone that if flip-flopping were an Olympic sport, Congressman Gephardt would get the gold medal.
Dukakis has organization and money for TV ads, which Gephardt lacks. Florida and Texas now look like his best states. Here in Georgia, he will target urban areas such as Atlanta, trying to pick off handfuls of delegates he hopes will mount up in a long fight.
This campaign has chosen to be a national campaign, and we have invested our resources across this country.
Georgia Democrats no longer see themselves as kingmakers who will help the South pick a clear conservative winner on Super Tuesday. It's more likely, they say, that the result March 8th will be another multi-candidate muddle, settling nothing but the need to carry the battle into the next round of primaries. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Atlanta.
The House Ethics Committee today recommended expulsion of veteran New York Congressman Mario Biaggi. Expulsion requires approval by 2/3 of the House. The 10-term New York Democrat was convicted in September of receiving illegal paid vacations in return for steering government contracts to a New York shipyard.
There are over 500,000 doctors in America, and they catch colds just like you. So, which cold medicine would doctors take for their own achy colds, with congestion and sneezing? In a nationwide survey for their own achy colds, more doctors said they take the formula in Dristan than the formulas in Sudafed, Actifed, and Dimetapp combined.
I'm going to take what doctors would take. Wouldn't you?
Dristan, with the formula more doctors would take, tablets or caplets.
Hungry this morning?
You bet.
Good, because to stack up to the vitamins in one bowl of total, it takes almost 3 bowls of Special K.
Trudy, I'll have the grape nuts.
Takes 4 bowls of that.
Watch this. Shredded wheat.
12 bowls.
Good, Delaney.
Separate checks, please.
Total has 100% of 9 vitamins and iron and is rich in calcium. That's a stack of nutrition in just 1 bowl. And for the most nutritious cornflakes, try Total Cornflakes with twice the vitamin nutrition of Kellogg's.
No one knows I just got dentures, and I don't want anything to blow it.
Fixodent and forget it. Fixodent helps fix loose spots for a strong hold that lasts longer than any leading cream. Use Fixodent and forget it.
Hemorrhoids. They hurt, burn, and swell. And more doctors recommend Anusol to relieve the hurting than all other hemorrhoid medicines combined. Anusol is the word to remember for relief.
It's now officially Justice Anthony Kennedy, President Reagan's third-choice Supreme Court nominee, was sworn in today at the White House by Chief Justice Rehnquist. At the Supreme Court itself, Kennedy checked out his office and posed for some photo opportunities. He gets down to cases tomorrow. Justice Kennedy now becomes the 9th and possibly deciding vote on a series of issues dividing the court, including abortion, affirmative action, and separation of church and state. In Fort Smith, Arkansas today, there's the case of the landmark trial. At issue are charges of sedition, hate, and violence, and the question of free speech. Bob McNamara is there.
Veiled in unprecedented small-town security, the trial of 14 accused white supremacists is the government's latest offensive in its war on racial hate groups. Screening even trial jurors and lawyers for weapons, the Justice Department has charged the 14 with sedition, with scheming to overthrow the federal government using robberies, assassinations, bombings, even plotting to poison the city water of Washington, D.C. and New York. But defendants say the sedition charges are a flimsy government weapon to prosecute anyone critical of federal law.
Otherwise, if they had any proof, they would have charged me on specific acts a long time ago.
Along with Miles, a former Michigan Ku Klux Klan Grand Dragon, defendants are among the who's who of hate groups. On the left, Reverend Richard Butler of Idaho's neo-Nazi Aryan Nations Church. On the right, Louis Beam, a former Texas Klan Grand Dragon.
This prosecution takes it the extra step that is needed to get to the leaders of those people who bear responsibility.
Also on trial are David Lane and Bruce Carroll Pierce, both convicted in the 1984 slaying of Jewish Denver talk show host Alan Berg. But while prosecutors told the all-white jury that the plot to overthrow the government was hatched in a 1983 Idaho meeting, defendants told the court there was no conspiracy, that what's really at issue is free speech and the FBI trying to play God. Adding to trial security jitters have been a series of recent Klan marches and rallies sympathetic to the defendants. The trial will be long and cumbersome, attorneys expecting it to take 3 months to reach a verdict. But in the end, prosecutors hope that in convicting the godfathers of organized racial hatred, they'll have finally broken the back of the white supremacist movement. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Fort Smith, Arkansas.
When Secretary of State Schultz is in Moscow this weekend, he will be talking not only about a new missile deal, he also will be dealing on Afghanistan. CBS News has been told Schultz plans to present a counteroffer to the Soviets' last proposal for an end to the invasion of Afghanistan. Schultz's new deal reportedly is for the Russians to have most of their invading force out by the end of May in exchange for a cutoff of U.S. weapons to the Afghan rebels. The State Department isn't commenting officially. Some officials privately scoff at the report. Afghan rebel leaders are concerned that, as they put it, they may be sold out to get a new missile agreement with the Soviets. Mikhail Gorbachev ended a two-day meeting of the Communist Central Committee by warning that the Soviet Union faces, and I quote now, serious financial problem, partly because of falling world prices for oil and partly because the state has deliberately cut back its sales of wine and vodka. In Detroit today, Ford Motor Company announced record fourth-quarter earnings of $932 million and record annual earnings of $4.6 billion.
Post Fruit and Fiber. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
All these delicious dates, raisins, walnuts. This is fruit and fire.
Post Fruit and Fiber. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
Dates, raisins, walnuts. It's fruitin'. And delicious.
Post Fruit and Fiber cereal. Packed with chewy dates, fat raisins, crisp walnuts, and high fiber flakes. Fruit and Fiber. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
When your child gets a cold or an allergy, you get a lot of advice.
Give him some garlic.
You gotta sweat out a cold.
A lot of advice.
Vaporize him.
But the best advice is what doctors have said millions of times. Take Dimetap. Dimetap in non-prescription formulas brings proven relief. So take the advice of doctors and pharmacists.
The garlic worked.
And take Dimetap. The best advice you can take.
Your first blind date in 30 years, and you've got dirty dentures.
I just soaked them.
Well, soaking's not enough. Brushing with denture gel cleans dentures almost twice as clean.
Hope she uses denture gel.
Brush with minty denture gel.
The Porsche engine in the Quaker State Indy car performs at a punishing 11,000 RPM. And the clean-running Quaker State with QSXer Protector is the same oil you buy right off the shelf. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
They are the latest dilemma facing puzzled parents. They're called chat lines, and they're putting money where the mouth is. Frank Courier tells us about them.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
The commercials are bombarding America's youth, hyping the nation's newest craze, live party lines.
Excuse me, everybody. 2 people just joined your conference. Say hi.
Where anyone can dial up to chat with as many as 9 teenagers on the same line. But the talk is not cheap.
95 cents per minute.
You know, I mean, I wanted to kill her. And then my next reaction is, no, my husband's going to kill her.
In Chicago, Sharon Krall's 15-year-old daughter Angie got so addicted to one teen talk line, she ran up an $850 bill in 1 month. While in Columbus, Ohio, Rick Carter's chat line habit cost his mother $2,600.
I knew it was 88 cents a minute, but I didn't know it would accumulate to the amount that did.
And neither did the children of more than 100 Illinois families who've organized a protest against paying huge party line bills.
I got my January the 10th bill. It was $2,281.98.
Excuse me, callers. I'm here to remind you the price again. It's 20 cents the first minute and...
While some chat lines employ monitors to remind callers of the cost, there's growing concern this $250 million a year industry invites abuse and exploits teenagers who love to talk but don't have to pay the bills.
It's probably the greatest money-making scheme you can get. But I just think that the potential for problems with kids is unbelievable.
What do you say we all get together?
Well, why don't you call the same time tomorrow on the party line?
Chat lines account for an enormous share of the 40 million callers each month who dial the 900 or 976 prefix. Nationwide, the network of such numbers has nearly doubled the past year to more than 3,000.
We think, it does represent good value when you compare it, say, to other sources of entertainment, because that's the business we're in, entertainment on the telephone.
As the controversy flares, lawmakers in 31 states are seeking tougher controls against message lines, while phone companies in those states are offering to block access to the numbers on request. Still others are writing off many chat line bills if customers complain.
If a parent is surprised by a bill run up by a child, we'll make a one-time adjustment.
After that, parents must pay the price in the high-tech, touch-tone world of teen talk lines, where 90 cents a minute quickly adds up to an eternity.
There's one guy on here that had a phone bill of $3,000. Don't feel bad. Mine was $297.
Frank Courier, CBS News, Chicago.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
You grip the stick and hiss across the ice while frigid winds blast you full in the face. The sport is ice boating, and at speeds up to 60 miles an hour and temperatures down to 30 below. You don't take chances. You take Chapstick. Chapstick is heavy-duty lip balm, made for weather at its worst, made to go on smooth, to help lips stop chapping and start healing. Why trust your lips to anything less? Don't take chances. Take Chapstick.
Sarah, keep an eye on your brother.
Face it, you never really know how demanding business is going to be.
Go ahead.
So more and more companies are choosing Konica, the copiers they know they can rely on.
Let's go, kids.
No matter what size your company, no matter what size the job, Konica copiers are ready. Konica, capturing the imagination.
To stack up the Totals vitamin nutrition, it takes almost 3 bowls of Special K.
I'm eating shredded wheat.
You're eating 12 bowls.
Better loosen your girdle, Gloria.
Total has 100% of 9 vitamins and iron and is rich in calcium. That's a stack of nutrition.
In just 1 bowl.
If you're concerned about heart disease and your doctor advises exercise, the right foods, and an aspirin a day, you should know that heart specialists recommend Ecotrin more than Bayer when they're concerned about aspirin irritation because it's safety coded. Ecotrin, the one heart specialists recommend.
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. Tomorrow, former Olympic champion Scott Hamilton sizes up the men's Olympic figure skating.
Also at home with Paloma Picasso on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.
Stay around.